America, the government, the central bank were not made by God.
Well,
They were made by people.
that's right. Amen. Amen.
That's right.
And anything that people can make, they can remake. I think of the words of Buckminster Fuller, the architect of world change, of design change, the architect of technological change. And Bucky said, we are called to be architects of the future,
That's right.
Yes, sir.
not its victims.
That's right.
Well,
Our challenge is to make the world work
yes.
for 100% of humanity in the shortest possible time
Yes.
through spontaneous cooperation and without ecological offense or the damage to anyone. That's the message that we have to carry forward.
Yes,
This
yes,
country
yes.
was formed with the idea that the state must be subordinate, not the master of its citizens. As Lincoln said, we have several Lincolns with us today. Not one Lincoln, but several Lincolns. And he said it had to
Male and
be.
female Lincoln.
It was, he recognized what Jefferson said, what Adams said, what the founders said,
Yes.
that this had to be a nation of, by, and for the people.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now, the people cannot have power if they're wage slaves,
Well,
Yes.
well,
if they're welfare slaves,
That's right.
Speak, brother.
That's right.
Speak.
That's right. That's right.
or charity slaves,
Speak.
That's right. That's
Speak.
right.
or debt slaves.
Yes.
slaves. Yes, sir.
It's time now to free all the slaves of the world.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now, money, like the state, is only a social tool. It was
That's right.
invented by people.
Go ahead, teach.
Money must be there as something that liberates,
Yes.
not enslaves
That's
the
right.
people.
That's right.
Preach, Norman.
The central bank, the Federal Reserve,
Yes.
was organized as a instrument for making sure that credit would be available to the people so that you could grow an economy, but they left out something, and that's ownership.
Yes.
Ownership.
So now, the Federal Reserve, which originally was supposed to be backed by private sector assets, industry, farmers, commerce, now there's no backing to the dollar. There's all debt behind the dollar.
yeah.
And it used to be only government debt. And of course, as you heard before, that debt has been increasing to levels that they're unsustainable. Every family has a hidden debt of $483,000 of future obligations.
My Lord. My
There's
Lord.
no way to do that
My Lord.
without collapsing the economy. But we have an answer.
Yes,
We have an answer, and that is, first, we want the people to own the Fed.
Fed.
Own the Fed.
Every citizen in each of the 12 regions of the country should have an equal lifetime, non-transferable voting share in the Fed, so that the Fed will now be accountable to the people. These are things that we can bring about. But that is only one part of a new national agenda, of a second American revolution. But it's a peaceful revolution to change the economic system, to bring about a new model for the economy. And we have a book with that formula called Capital Homesteading for Every Citizen. And it not only deals with money policy and what the Federal Reserve should do, but also tax policy. For example, under our tax policy, the family of four would not pay a single cent in payroll taxes. We'd abolish the payroll tax altogether, which is a cost that goes into the price system. We would abolish that. But every citizen would now have an exemption. So a family of four would not pay a cent in income taxes until they had $100,000 of earned income. And we would treat income from all sources in the same way, so that we would no longer do what conservatives have been doing erroneously, and that is to say that people who have capital gains or have dividend incomes or rental incomes should pay no taxes. That's wrong. No matter what source you can get your consumption power, whether it's $10,000 a year or what one of the hedge fund operators in recent years received doing hedge funds, playing with derivatives, he was able to earn $3.4 billion in a year.
My Lord. Wow.
And he would be exempt from paying any of that to the federal government. We say that income is income. The government cost is a service cost. We do need government. We're not anarchists. We want government, but the government must be controlled by the people, must be dependent on the people. Yeah. And if all income, no matter what source, is taxed at the same rate, you can balance the budget, you can begin to pay down the debt, you can keep all the promises made in Social Security and Medicare, but you can eventually enable people to be free and the government to be free of those obligations of Social Security and Medicare. For example, under our plan, you would grow the economy in such a way that a child born today would begin, and every member of the family would be able to set up a capital homestead account and receive $7,000 of capital credit created through the Federal Reserve System, interest-free, to purchase new shares as the economy grows, as entrepreneurs need billions of dollars. It's actually about $2 trillion of new capital formation that takes place. That's new plant and equipment, new rentable space, new technologies of all kinds, and infrastructure. We can do that all in ways in which it's funded through the issuance of new shares in private sector corporations and set up a tax system which encourages the corporations to pay out their dividends fully. How would you do that? Very simply. You'd make dividends tax deductible at the corporate level so that a corporation would be now persuaded to pay their dividends out and issue new shares because they could eliminate their corporate income tax to the extent that they pay out their dividends. And if they pay out their dividends, that's the way the citizens would be able to pay off their capital credit and begin to get dividends after they pay that. So we computed that a child born today, by the time they reach age 65, the age of retirement under Social Security, they would have accumulated a little less than, this is after tax, they would have accumulated about $480,000, and they'd be receiving about, again, under the tax law changes, after tax, about $48,000 by age 65. They would, during the period of life, it starts very slowly, but then as you begin to get more and more each year, financing the growth so that we can begin to overcome scarcity and overcome poverty, that child would have received $1.6 million of after-tax dividends over and above whatever they were able to receive from their jobs. Now, this is true liberation. It recognizes that human beings are no different than we were when our ancestors stepped out of the caves. What's changed in the world are the ideas, our understanding of truth, and our ability to develop new and better technologies. In any event, it is now time to own the Fed.
Own the Fed.
Own the Fed.
Own the Fed.
Own the
Own
Fed.
the Fed.
Thank you very much.